Now we're also live on YouTube.
It's both of them now?
Yeah, now there's two of them.
There's two of them.
This is getting out of hand.
We will not survive this.
Hey,
that's some episode 1 humor for all of you out there. Good morning and welcome to the pre-show for Games for Breakfast. Oh boy. I'm just finishing up my Blue Sky post.
Blue Ski?
Pre-show, Janet and Brad, what should be the one sentence I say about the Games for Breakfast post right now?
Come meet our surprise third co-host, Will's migraine.
Yeah. Will is not feeling. He's gonna push on through, soldier. Grass did get it in there first, I think. Let's see. Just the words Baja Blasted is very tasty. How about I combo it? How about I say it is very tasty, we will not survive this, and that will be what I write.
Okay, great, awesome, yeah.
It is very tasty. We will not survive this. I could do, if I want to go real hard and weird, it is very itchy tasty. We will not survive this. No, I'm not going to do it because it could be a whole different thing.
Why?
There we go. We're good.
Chat, why? You come to me on this and you bring me hype? You bring me... Why?
Yeah, hype already?
Why do you do this?
Hello there.
I still have all the leftover birthday things.
From last birthday. Oh, that's right. We have to ask about the thing.
Which thing?
Future Janet and current Janet and Brad. We wanted to ask you about the last thing, right? We had a list of things and we wanted to ask them about the last thing, like what in theory, without any specifics, they would want as a prize.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, we'll do that in the show.
Okay. I figure we could do
Or
it during the
no.
pre-show since Brad's busy hyping.
Oh, we could do it during the pre-show.
Yeah.
I don't know, Palpatine, what do you think?
Do it.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Awesome.
no,
Yeah.
we're fine.
Okay, so Brad and Janet, because this will apply to both of you, and yes, that is foreshadowing. We couldn't afford 5 shadowing, so you're getting 4 shadowing instead.
You'd be surprised how much it costs to get the hardware for 5 shadowing.
That's right.
I don't know if it has to do with ray tracing or...
It's ray tracing.
Yeah, I don't know.
We couldn't
tech
find
head.
a Raymond to lay down on... Anyway.
To trace.
Right, yeah, exactly. At least that's our understanding. It's very expensive to have him lie there full time. Anyway, so in the future, near-ish temporally to this, we will be perhaps doing something for which you will be rewarded. And
it is the season for you to do nice things.
Right.
Around an arbitrary date when...
Which commemorates a revolution around the sun of this planetary body.
Where you get rewarded for your good deeds. And we were trying to think of what some nice rewards you would like to see for, I don't know, if we reach certain goals in that venture.
Yeah. So, like, in the past, we've done things like...
Baja Nellies, right? Like, that's a silly one. We're not doing that again, by the way. That was a one and done. We will never mix Baja Blast and Martinelli Sparkling Cider. 2 great tastes that do not go great together.
It's very tummy upset. Something about them mixes in a, like, we were holding it together when we did it last time. It's disgusting. Don't do it. Thanks, Thunder. Thanks, buddy.
And just so Quoth the desk, your test is complete.
Yeah, received. That is a fast username change, by the way.
We've done actual plays. We've done Mario Kart matches. We've done just silly things you'd like, either big or small. And you don't have to answer it right now. Silly things that you'd like Will or I to actually do. For a reward for you doing a good deed, aka donating to a charity. And Zermit, yeah, we are. Hello. This is the pre-show. Welcome. There will be a show, assuming that the pre-show ever stops, assuming that hype stops over on Twitch. Again, how this works, and I think we will get the hype meter eventually moving over here. We're already at level 3 over there. And the show can't start, and I can't have my coffee for another 2 minutes and 13 seconds, or until, if they happen to keep hyping, even though we've warned about the dangers of hype, we just can't move on until it's done.
That's right. Mostly because then we have to thank everyone, and it's a big...
Yep. All right, let's start looking at some of these things. So someone says, strap an action cam to Zoe for an hour. You'd be amazed how boring that would be, but sure. Do a sick flip. I would have to get sick first, and I don't know if I could time that out as a reward. Baldur's Gate 3 patch 8 run. I mean, I would do it if people are interested in that.
Yeah.
French press coffee Martinelli spritzer. Also not against it.
Oh, I kind of like this one. An official Zoe D&D build.
Ooh.
Because that... We could get like an artist, right, to like do up the stat block, and we could get you, me, and Jeff together to like run through
that could be fun
homebrew in like an hour, and then we could like publish it as a thing with the other thing that we're thinking about, because that actually makes a lot of sense.
I'm gonna start a document here, a very official document.
That's right.
So Zoe D&D block, followed by Baldur's Gate 3 patch 8. Followed by, what else was there? There was something else. Jane Austen LARP in Minecraft.
I like Dark Wolf's commission a physical hype train model.
Oh boy.
That's a lot. Also, I'm still waiting on my minis to show up here from the UK, and it makes me sad that it takes so long. Why do things take so long to get here from the UK?
French press spritzer.
We're getting notepads for the funny breakfast show on the Funny Cartoon Bean channel. Should we be worried? I mean, no more than you should be worried consistently.
The standard amount of worry. I don't think we can really... Haha, we're free from the hype train. It's over. We've defeated you once again, Hype Beast. That's a brand, right?
Huh?
Hype Beast? Hype Beast is a brand.
If you say so.
Yes, apparently, the first thing on Google, it says Hype Beast, driving culture forward. So that feels like a brand.
Monster mixer. Mix as many monsters as possible.
Great. That's actually something easy for Will to do.
Yeah, I know. And I could borrow, my roommates have, they work during the summer at a Renaissance festival. And so they have, one day, they confiscated a giant glass stein, and it's got to be more than a liter, and I could make so many flavors of monster in there. Eventually, it will just taste like chemicals.
Sure.
But, that's fine. I'll do that for charity.
All right, so we got some good stuff. I think this is all good.
Yeah, this blindfold backseat Mario Kart. Wait, okay, so you wear a blindfold, and I have to drive for you. I have to tell you how to drive. And it'll be relevant because we won't be that far off, hopefully, from the release of the Switch 2.
We'll see.
So you won't know all the maps, and it'll be worse.
Great.
We'll do like bobsled practice. It'll be
good.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. I gotta thank a bunch of people. First off, I'm gonna go to YouTube because there's the one very specific one. Zerba, thank you so much for becoming a member over on YouTube. Welcome to the Extra Fans. That means a lot. Thank you. A reminder, we are looking at, as soon as YouTube lets us, due to the number of members we have, get more emotes in there for all of you. We're gonna start putting them in as soon as we can. We have them all ready because they're all already over here on Twitch, and they should just be compatible, so we're just gonna shove them in as soon as those memberships happen. Should that be something that you want. Okay, over here on the Twitch side, I gotta thank Valendana for bits, Sasquatch for 54 months, Kyrian for biddies, new guy for for 55 months of Prime. Synchronos for 42 months. It is the answer. Bionic Beardly for 49 months. Nova for 75 months. That's 3/4 of a century of months. Stop it. Get some help. Crimson Coyote and Copper Chef for more biddies. Mechanism for 47 months. That's almost 4 years. Zip for 5 community gift subs. Mr. Ming for 31 months. ProxJ for biddies. That's the end of the hype train, but we do have to thank Crafty J for the 59 months.
Nice.
With the message, haha, you thought the hype was done, but it was me.
Oh,
that's true.
That is true.
Okay.
Well, I am seeing some folks questioning the titling of the episode about the lawsuits and things. Don't worry, Rad SG, we will get there. We will get there.
Yep.
We will get there. Will, I have to say, bravo on today's topics. As everyone, and I won't even get into it. I'm just psyched to talk about it all, and that it's not all Switch 2.
Yeah,
I am getting a little burned out. Like, there's no new real information, and all anyone's talking about is like tariffs. Not tariffs is a thing, and I'm like, listen, I was really happy to do that last week.
I got it out of my system. I watched the John Oliver piece on tariffs, which has a piece on the Switch 2.
Oh yeah,
this morning while I was trying to get ready. So that's a thing.
It's rare we get the jump on Mr. Oliver.
That is true. So that's nice. The other one, by the way, is and I did mention this to Matt. The other thing that a lot of places are doing that I have to wade through every time I want to like look and see what people are talking about is plenty of places will take a new game, particularly a new difficult game, and they will just put it in a clothes wringer and just wring out all of the content from it. They're like, all right, here's an article on how you solve each individual puzzle in the blueprints. And you're like, huh? And they're like, yes, we have 4 pages of articles on the blueprints because we want to SEO maximize. We're SEO maxing. That's how we do it. We do an article
losers, we're SEO maxing.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And I just don't I don't know what to do with that, but that is always a struggle when there's new stuff.
Yeah, totally. Nope, I get it. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for this pre-show on A Year of Someone's Lord, April 14th, 2025. That's the year and the time and the things and the stuff. If you are new here, either on Twitch or on YouTube, please say hello. We have all the chats intermingled so we can see them all. And yeah, as illustrated, in case you are brand new here, you can... Oh, like, and here we go. Like, how about this? Pavara just gifted 1 membership to the Bull.
Oh, thanks.
You can have, basically, if we're chatting, no donation or anything is required. As we talk, we'll pop up your stuff and we'll talk about it. And
yeah, it's a way that we get to sort of let everyone know what's going on in the other chat without you having to be in the other chat. And also so that Nebula, for whom we are recording this momentarily, not yet, this won't be on Nebula, but the next thing we do will be on Nebula. They get some context rather than having like all of chat on screen as like a continuous scroll. I do that when it's just me because chat is my co-pilot.
Right.
I also need a bumper sticker for the back of my gaming chair that says chat is my co-pilot.
That conveniently no one will ever see, but
no, they do, because when I leave,
oh, you spin it
right,
around.
It like, no, I don't even spin it around. Chair has a mind of its own. It just sort of like, if I'm not sitting in it, it'll just sort of lazily spin.
I got you.
Can it feature a Zoe Bean? Yes, absolutely.
Does new to today's stream count? No.
No. Mikhail asked, any thoughts about Marathon? Oh, that's the wrong show window.
I got you.
Thank you. Yes, we are going to be talking about Marathon. I actually think it looks sick. I am more excited for it than I am for any other extraction shooter, and we'll talk about why.
I wasn't even aware there was an ARG about it yet, so that's cool. I'll dig into that.
There's like a whole thing. Apparently, my chair is possessed. I'm not sure how to tell you this. That's fine.
Also, Richard with a late breaking idea for a reward. Evil Universe versions.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Writing it down. All right. Well, I guess we should start the show. Oh, wait, Will, did you run the intro?
Not yet. I have to.
No, but don't we have to load it into memory so it doesn't hiccup?
Yes. So
this is going to be the fake intro. It's still the pre-show.
Good morning, Matt.
Oh, good morning, Will.
And good morning to all of you from me and the little man with an ice pick behind my right eye.
Welcome to Games for Breakfast, the only internet talk show we talk about this week's gaming and tech news, but you know, the same show that is the only time when your co-host has a migraine, you have a migraine with him.
Aww, solidarity migraines.
We're going to run this at least for a while until the reflections get too wrong for me. Good morning, hello, welcome, bienvenue. We have a smorgasbord of wonderful topics that Will has prepared for us this fine day. Will, other than your massive headache, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Had a pretty decent weekend. Got to do a bunch of relaxing. Got to play some Repo. Matt, have you played Repo?
I have not played Repo.
Now Repo, bearing, of course, no similarity to the genetic opera, though you are required to make jokes about every little glass vial being Zydrate, is a sort of phenomenal combination of the cuteness of Among Us,
okay,
with the chaos and idea of Lethal Company. In that right. you are very cute robots who are scavenging items of value out of abandoned and definitely very haunted places.
Cool.
And you are attempting to avoid or fight back against monsters that are directly out of the mind of someone who needs more therapy than money can buy. And it's a wonderful time, mostly because you can shrink. Like the big shtick is you can shrink, and your friends can pick you up and put you places so you can get stuff. But it's great fun and very good chaos. So I got to play a bunch of that with Alchemy and friends yesterday on her stream, and that was a lovely time. It was great.
Nice. I got to continue. I still have not beaten Erdtree. So I got actually some time this weekend to click away at that. I did finally beat my first furnace golem, which was an incredible feat of punching big feet to make thing topple, to throw thing and thing.
I was gonna say, did you dunk it? Because you gotta.
Well, actually, the first one I did two of them. The first one I did dunk it. The second one I did, if you're a faith strength build, you don't really need to dunk it. You can actually kind of nail it down enough quick to get it there, but it was good.
Speaking of Elden Ring, I am I'm letting people know that we're in the middle of South of Midnight right now, which we'll be playing after this, which is an amazing game. It's a beautiful, amazing game. It's Ahmed Best's game directorial debut. Ahmed best known as the actor who played Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
And from that,
Lisa called Jar Jar Binks.
From that, he is had this whole arc with the Star Wars franchise. He created a character called Kelleran Beck, who is a Jedi master in charge of teaching younglings, and that's been like indoctrinated into Star Wars canon. And he's in The Mandalorian and a bunch of other stuff. But one of the things he's always wanted to do is direct a video game. So he's directed South of Midnight, a game about healing intergenerational trauma with traditional witchcraft in the deep south of the U.S., invoking the folklore of the area, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's next on my list after when Jamie and I finish Split Fiction. I think that's when I'm going to be. I played a bunch of that. Side note, again, shout out to Split Fiction as well. Split Fiction slaps, and every time I think I'm gonna get sick of it, it just ups itself. It's crazy. It's so good.
I've been watching some playthroughs of it. It looks very good, and the puzzles it does look like you get, like, each person gets at least 2 playthroughs of it because the 2 sides are so very different.
Yes.
It's
Yep,
not
absolutely.
like, you know, red blue sort of sides. It's very different.
It's mechanic.
Yeah, it's
Also, I missed this. Hello to you too.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, and Bell caught the Invisimug,
That's
which
correct.
is right here, which does have a game face on it. It's just you can barely see him.
Yeah.
Available in all fine Nebula stores now.
Yeah. But yeah, after we finish with that and maybe a couple of other things, it'll either be Blueprints or Elden Ring at some point.
Sure.
I've never played Elden Ring. I've never really played a Souls-like to completion. I've played some Souls 1 and hated it. But I have grown as a gamer since then, and we'll see if I can grumble my way through Elden Ring.
And Will, with seamless co-op and this community,
yeah.
I feel like every bit of the Dark Souls stuff that you don't dig or the Souls-like stuff will wash away like something in a fine night rain.
Yeah, that's right. That's very true. So we're gonna be tackling that anyway, Matt. All that to say, we've had a very interesting weekend, and we have a lot to talk about.
That's true. And if you have anything to talk about or want to tell us about your interesting weekends, you can do that over on Blue Sky. You can do that. Just say hi, say hello, see if you like these stories, if you want to hear other things. That'd be great. You can also obviously comment in the chat right now, or if you're watching this on the YouTube, you can type that in there too. But Rocky, if you're over on Nebula, that is how you get a hold of us.
When did
what
they
was that?
When
was
did
that
they
a secret?
When did they change that? Oh my God, they changed a thing. All right. Anyway.
Well, we can go to our first story because it's a quick one, and that's what we're showing you right here. So last week, the Minecraft movie definitely hit theaters and broke a bunch of records. We talked about it a little bit last week. But my other gig, the only podcast about movies, yes, there is an asterisk in that name somewhere, got to have the one and only Wilbur B. Credits on our show. And to talk about the Minecraft movie because it's great. So pictured here is all three of us hiding from a creeper. Shahir Dowd is my co-host over there. And we got to basically take 3 different people with 3 very different experiences with Minecraft, the property, Minecraft, the game, and then going to see Minecraft, the movie, or a Minecraft movie, as it's called, and went into an hour-plus long deep dive of basically going through what we think worked, what we think didn't, the cultural relevance of it. We don't get too much into the upcoming stories of rioting in theaters, which who knows how overblown or not overblown that is. Listen, I love people getting excited about movies. What I don't love is a bunch of theater workers having to clean up after your nonsense. So that, because they are not paid enough for that. But no, if you are interested in hearing some really, really, really great conversations about the Minecraft movie, that is available over on Nebula right now, or in the RSS feed. Just search the only podcast about movies elsewhere. You can find, actually, it'll be in the show notes as well, both versions there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Will, it was so good having you on. It's so like, I've played Minecraft, but I have not like Will has played Minecraft. There is a difference there, and I don't think Shahir ever touched it once. So it was a really good middle ground.
Speaking of Minecraft and playing Minecraft, shameless pitch, over the summer, at some point, probably in late June, we are going to be, we have a community Minecraft server. I am going to be restarting it over the summer, so it will be modded. It will be very modded. It will be extremely modded. We are either playing Craftoria or Craft to Exile, both of which are like high-end, very long, very deep packs. So if those are things that interest you, it will be open to everyone who is in the Discord. So that means if you're a patron, a subscriber on Twitch, or a channel member on YouTube, we'll be able to get people in there. There will be like a concurrent limit, but if you are interested in those, support us sometime in June. It'll be one of those membership perks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, cool.
Will it sweep the Razzies? I actually don't think so. Here's a spoiler for my thoughts on it. I came up with this phrase, or did I talk about it? Did I say this last week? I can't remember if I said this on this show or another thing I was talking to the show about. But the Minecraft movie is, in my opinion, like the equivalent for me, like the best, most absolute, wonderful, the top tier, S tier McDonald's toy you've ever gotten.
Yeah.
I think that that's like a really good That's where I feel like it fits for
The
me.
Inspector Gadget toys.
Yes.
Okay, so back when
Kids of a certain redacted age will know.
right. You got all of Gadget's different parts. So you got like his legs, they were different toys, and his torso was a different toy, and his arms were different toys, and his head and his hat were different toys. No, his head was part of his torso, but his hat was a different toy, and you had to get all the toys to put Gadget together, but he had all the Go-Go Gadget everything. So a core memory. Yes. Yeah. I also think it was, someone I saw, someone on Blue Sky said, why is Chicken Jockey funny? And I realized that one of the reasons that a lot of people aren't getting it is that some of the key moments in the movie are deeply embedded in like having played Minecraft and having like an intuitive experience of Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like chicken jockeys are the worst. Okay. So if you're not familiar with Minecraft, a chicken jockey is a chicken with a zombie on it, a baby zombie. Baby zombies are already fast. Chicken jockeys are a little faster and they're persistent. And if you don't have gear, you will die, right? It will kill you. And the reason that it's funny is it's schadenfreude, because many Minecraft players have experienced being somewhere and thinking that you're safe, and then there's a chicken jockey, and now you're definitely not, right?
And especially with Jason Momoa's character, this is in the trailer, this is no spoilers, is in a wrestling ring, like ready to fight what he's assuming is the toughest, biggest thing, and then it turns out to be a chicken jockey, and then it's I think it plays for more so for Minecraft people. I just anticipate, because I was not entirely familiar with it. I just figured it was like a rare mob that was tough, which is kind of also true.
They're very rare. Anyway, all that to say, we had a lovely conversation about a Minecraft movie, not the Minecraft movie, a Minecraft movie.
That's right.
Though it's the first a Minecraft movie, so if there is another, will it be a Minecraft movie 2, or will it be a Minecraft movie again? Only time will tell, because there's going to be a sequel because it made more money than God.
I want it to be a Minecraft movie as well. That
may your Minecraft movie be with you. And you as well.
Yeah. That's what I want.
Yeah, right. Another. I like Mary's. I like Mary's.
I would go Gladius.
Excellent. These are all. Oh no! Don't curse us with that, Snackin'. Don't you dare curse us with.
Oh, it's so good.
B Minecraft movie. No, stop it.
Coppers is great too. There's a lot of y'all are
a nether Oh wow, these are all.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a couple people said that too.
This is the real trick, by the way, to doing live content is not a nether Minecraft movie. Is you just cultivate a really funny audience, and then you don't have to be funny because your audience is funny for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Belle, I 1000% agree. Having worked in movie theater, here now I'll get away from the fun and go into a soapbox before we get back to some fun. And with your spirit, amen. No, like everyone having fun, you should always try to make sure that whatever fun you're having is not going to directionally take away from the fun or the make someone's life who is facilitating that fun demonstrably worse without them being incredibly compensated and also signing on for the task.
Right.
People didn't sign on for this. Theaters, and again, I blame the people doing the stuff in the theater, but also I blame theater chains for not staffing and not paying enough and not having enough people on hand to take care of things like this. Like, I'm still amazed in New York how few workers they have at the AMCs that I go to. It feels like they should at least double it, both for convenience and or better working conditions and safety for all involved. Like, it just feels like that should be it, but they don't. So any people going into these theaters and making enough of a mess in it, like a ruckus is fine if you're gonna, as long as I would say like sort of like a cultural moment, and that is sort of like people still cheer and clap for Nicole Kidman, right? Like that's fine. but like throwing stuff around and garbage on the floor, like anything that's going to cause more than a small moment of disruption for anyone involved. I mean, they're either being paid to be there or paid to be there. Just, respect. Post-COVID kind of changed that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All that having been said, let's go from shaking our old man canes at clouds about one thing to shaking our old man canes at clouds about another. So we're going to keep this short because we spent a lot of time on this last week, but
please see last week's episode for more
complete thoughts on the Switch 2. This is not about the Switch 2 itself. This is about the delay. So we, I believe last week we knew that pre-orders were going to be delayed. We now know that they will, rolling pre-orders in the United States will begin May 9th, other M month. Ugh. And the release is still on track for the same day in June. The pre-orders will now be more important because there is a smaller time window, but reminder, if you are a Nintendo Switch Online person with at least 50 hours of recorded playtime on your Switch and the subscription's at least a year old, you get priority pre-ordering if you sign up on the Nintendo site, and they'll send you an email, and then you have 72 hours to pre-order. So
some people, I think the first wave of that has actually gone out in the US from what I understand.
Okay. I did not see that, but I
could be wrong. I didn't get one. But I did all the process.
Let me look.
But yeah, and just sort of as we're saying here, because they still haven't like actually officially said whatever the release date, the pre-release date will be, because it seems as though no one really can understand what a Switch 2 is and where it falls into these ever-changing tariffs, that no one seems to either understand what it's for, understand where you collect them, or understand what a piece of technology fits into. Like, is this a computer? Is it something else? No one really is able to answer those questions, and all of those things are needed if you're going to collect funds based around these products.
Yeah. And then the other, like, okay, dating this episode, it's the 14th of April at 11:35 a.m. This is relevant because this is changing hourly. The Switch 2 may or may not, and no one knows for sure, be included or excluded from all the tariffs.
It's gonna be May.
Right, yeah. I have seen that the Switch won't get any tariffs. I have seen that the Switch will get the full 145% because Final Assembly for the Switch is apparently in China this time. So that's great. No one knows.
But I've also heard that they're stocking them up from Taiwan or something like
right.
Or Vietnam.
I've heard that they're going to have a bunch of Toad cosplayers fly over from Japan with giant Toad hats full of Switch 2s and then bribe the Koopa border guards with Toad coins. But, like, who knows, right? No one knows. If anyone tells you that they 100% know for sure how this is going to land, they're probably about to try and sell you something, usually subscription access to their website.
They had way too many Wonder Flowers, and now they're just staring up at a rainbow of information that changes on the minute. Yeah. So
who knows?
But there was something a little bit silly surrounding this as well. The game that is supposed to be the tour of the Switch 2, we talked about it. I forget, I don't even know the title of it, but you figured it would be like the thing to show off all of the Switch's bells and whistles, right? That would come packaged with the game. Turns out to be a $10 download because it's a experience to get you to pay more money. A lot of pushback on that especially because the Wii famously came with Wii Sports, which was a phenomenal hit and one of the reasons why that system took off as it did. Well, our old pal Reggie, pictured here from his guest spot years ago on Mega 64, basically took to social media lately. And not like, Reggie doesn't work for Nintendo anymore, but Reggie famously pushed to include Wii Sports with the Wii. And apparently the team at Nintendo was very, very, very against it. Now, just for funsies, Reggie has sort of just been posting about that story. There's a whole documentary on how he was pushing for this to happen and blah, blah, blah. And so he's posted twice. He's just like, the story of the Wii Sports packet. And he just put the YouTube video that is about. And then he did a follow-up that says, and the results. And like, just basically pointing from a place of no power and no influence, but also just as a quick reminder that maybe the software that's made to show off your fancy new hardware and make people feel good about their now ever increasingly expensive purchase might be worthwhile to just sort of include in the package.
Yep.
That seems like a no-brainer, but that's neither here nor there, I guess.
Yep, absolutely. So we're gonna stop talking about the Switch 2 unless we have confirmed from Nintendo information that is relevant, and then we're only gonna talk about that. There's a bunch of press events and stuff that we didn't get invited to because Nintendo knows that we don't need that. We'll do our own press event with Zoe and Monster, and I don't know. Invite us to your press events, Nintendo. We'd love to come.
We don't need you unless you really want us there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, maybe next time.
It would be great to
Switch
feel
3,
wanted. Yeah.
confirmed.
Yep, that's right. We'll get Zoe in a cat backpack. You can come too.
We'll put a webcam in the backpack.
Pima says, "What about confirmed information from the White House about tariffs?" No, that doesn't count.
Yeah, because it's gonna change again.
Yep. Correct. It's gonna, especially when the not to get too all political up in here, because everyone knows there are no politics in video games.
Absolutely not. I won't stand for them.
I
sit down.
That's right. There are conflicting reports from within the administration about what will and will not be hit by which tariffs when. Like, literally, people in the Commerce Department who are supposed to know about these things don't know what will and won't be exempt and what will and won't be tariffed at what rate. This is the most disorganized, hackneyed, terrible sham of a job rolling out a piece of financial policy which is demonstrably drastically affecting global markets to the extent that it must be on purpose. You could not be. This is like getting all of the answers on a true-false test wrong. You have to be doing it on purpose because you would get it right at least half the time if you were guessing. But if you got all of the answers wrong, you had to have been doing it on purpose. This is that. This is real bad. So we're going to see, but I'm not taking anything from the White House on tariffs to be gospel about the Switch 2 until we get the Switch 2.
We're in an interesting spot in human history when I will trust Nintendo over the White House on information.
To be fair, I can think of several spots in my lifetime where that's been true. But I've lived in interesting times, and I'm tired of living in unprecedented interesting times.
We can trust in precedent. Like, we can figure out, like, the chaos isn't going to stop in the government, and Nintendo will never, ever, ever put anything on sale and keep trying to sell things for exorbitant amounts of money. We know this. We know this to be true.
Yep.
Anyway, we have some, actually, I'm going to make an amendment to Will's comment about not talking about the Switch. We have some lovely comments from y'all in the community that we'll be talking about later, which is talking about last week's episode, which does talk about the Switch too. But until then, it's gone from our minds. Thank you, Reggie, for your glowing red eyes of justice.
All right. And now, for other blasts from the past. Matt, before there was Halo, before there was Destiny, there was Marathon.
Yep.
But not like this.
Not like this.
Bungie released the gameplay trailer and a bunch of information about the new Marathon game. I want to play this with you. I think this is going to be great.
Yeah, I think this is if you're not familiar yet with it, it is a extraction looter made it feels like for a group of people that might not normally be into extraction looters.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It has so much, even just from the gameplay trailer, it has so much of what I love about Destiny's like moment to moment physicality, gunplay feel to it in it that I'm already on board.
Like
Again, many times on this show, we've said, me mainly, but I think you'll agree.
Yeah.
The reason we don't play Destiny is because we fell off, and it's really, really, really hard, both monetarily and from a narrative perspective, figuring out what you need to do when to actually onboard yourself to Destiny 2 again. Or to start.
The actual gameplay of Destiny 2 continues to be great.
Exquisite.
Other than, and I'm hoping they improve on this here, Bungie's weird obsession with first-person platforming. Get some help. Seek some therapy. Just
talk to your children about first-person platforming before somebody else does.
Don't. Okay, great. Anyway, I think that this is going to be very interesting. And I agree 100% that the thing that sold me on the trailer was it's got Bungie gunplay. That looks really good. It also fixes a problem which I've had with all of the other Extraction games, which is it's not dark and gritty. It's like It's like neon cyberpunk, right? Which like is great. I think I'm tired of like really dark grungy games. This looks like somebody just dunked everything in like high-vis paint, and I'm all about it, to be honest.
It's a good mix. It rides right up to the Fortnite edge that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
While still feeling like it might be made for someone with my proclivities.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to point out, Helldivers, kind of an extraction shooter. Kind of. Mostly yes.
There
caveat,
are elements. You don't lose your weapons. Right. You don't lose your equipment. You lose your samples, which then help you unlock things. Sure. So it has extraction, looter shooter vibes to it, but I would not call it. I actually really enjoy. I think the reason why I played Helldivers for as long as I did was because it wasn't that. If I had to go back and get my guns and no. And they're also, actually, I'm not too familiar with this, but like the way that Helldivers 2 allows you to do your loadout, but then call your stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like your, what's the opposite of extracting, Will?
Intracting
all of it's an intraction shooter.
That's right. Betty asks, is Deep Rock Galactic an extraction shooter? Yes. More than Helldivers is. There's also, by the way, a Deep Rock Galactic roguelike coming out. I'm so excited. Anyway, so back to Marathon. They released a whole bunch of information. It looks really good. It looks really bright. They have a cool world. It's class-based.
Yeah, people are also, like Amp says here, they like the original Marathon trilogy. They're nervous about this new Marathon. Yeah, I'm curious how it all will feel like it ties together because it does look very different. Yeah.
And then related to that, in celebration of this.
Speaking of.
Yeah.
So the original Marathon games, I believe, 1, 2, and I forget what the third one is called. Guess what, gamers? They're all free on Steam. They're just free. You can just go get them. I haven't played these in ages. I just was reminded of this morning, and you can just go grab them. And I put them onto my account, and I will play through these again because it's really, really cool to sort of revisit and see where we came from.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, man. Nobody remembers the original extraction shooter, Descent. I remember. I guess you did collect things.
Yeah.
I
And also,
don't know.
by the way, the other big thing about Marathon that looks really good is that it does look like they have a solid way to keep you from being stuck in the I don't have any gear because I died too many times state with like sponsorships and like other things. So it does look like they've compensated for what, in my opinion, is one of the biggest potential weaknesses of extraction shooters.
Yeah. And I don't believe anyone from the original Marathon team is working on this currently.
Sounds right.
But
yeah.
Listen, it's not like, this is the other thing. Marathon and its sequels are great. It's also a series that has not been really talked about much in recent times. So, yeah. Bell, I don't know if it's Steam TV compatible, or you probably need a PC is my guess. But yeah, anyway,
that would be my guess.
I am very excited about, oh, interesting. Mikhail, it's a good thing. The devs are actually answering every gameplay question.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that is a big deal. Also, related, there is a, we're not going to spend too much time on this because the people who are causing this don't deserve much time to be spent on them. There are a segment of gamers who are large upset. They're spaghetti. It is upset because the leads of this are two ladies. I mention it only because it is the other thing that keeps coming up about Marathon. And to those people, then don't play it. You know what? We're going to go have fun with our cool-looking, weird cyberpunk looter shooter, or extraction shooter video game with like all kinds of improvements to the genre made by a studio that has done historically excellent gunplay. And you can cope and seethe and sit in the corner and face the wall if you're upset about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cope, seethe, mauled, sit in the corner, face the wall. Right? Okay. Next up, speaking of games that are really awesome and excellent and keep on giving, Baldur's Gate 3's patch 8 launches tomorrow. There are 12 new subclasses, meaning that you have an excuse to play the game through again, or to start the game telling yourself that you're going to play through it again and then bail like midway
only make
through
12 other characters.
Yeah, midway through the first act or something. Yeah, there is a new subclass for every class, and you can play all of them. There are also photo mode and a bunch of other stuff. It's been in beta for a while, but it is officially coming out tomorrow. So please do look forward to that. If you're a Baldur's Gate 3 fan, you have another playthrough in your midst.
Death Domain, my Death Domain clerks, where are you at? I'm very excited about that. I'm excited for Path of Giants. Drunken Master looks cool. Swarmkeeper Rangers, always a favorite. Oh, and Shadow Magic Sorcerers will be very, very fun.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Star Druid is the new druid? Circle of Stars. Yep. Yeah, Circle of Stars druids are always interesting. If you're not familiar with D&D stuff in particular, a lot of these things are might sound like gibberish to you. However, these will change the play style of these classes quite a bit, and it's very, very cool that we're getting this, 2 years? How old is Baldur? When did Baldur's Gate actually release?
04. It was Game of the Year 04.
That's right.
Because last year it was asked.
But I get confused because it was in early access forever. I just didn't play it.
And some people are surprised it took so long for the Hexblade. No. Hexblade's stupidly broken. That's why. Like, D&D is not balanced, nor should it be. But there is some expectation that there's some amount of balance in this game.
Yeah.
Theoretically, practically there isn't, but like I've seen enough people who are doing solo honor mode playthroughs that like I don't believe in balance anymore.
Yeah. Well, speaking of balance, Dark says, I wish they'd get rid of the level 12 cap, to be honest, but that's just me. At first, I agreed. I really did agree at that. The issue is what the challenge that this game is building and the adventure that you're on does just only go to that. If we could break it, if we could get to level 20, yeah, we get all these cool abilities, but then they'd have to change the structure of the difficulty of the game and the missions. Like, I know at the end, I don't want to spoil for Baldur's Gate 3, and the ending gets pretty big. But you're not punching God. Like, that's where you're level 20. It's
not a JRPG yet, right? Because like, by the way,
at least 7 Final Fantasy expansions away from that.
Right? Yeah. No. Because remember, we've discussed this when I've been talking about new games. Any game with any style of combat in any genre is a JRPG if you kill God with the power of friendship. If you kill God with the power of friendship, it's a JRPG. That's what defines the genre. Nothing else, just killing God with the power of friendship. You can have a turn-based JRPG. You can have a first-person shooter JRPG. A JRPG is any game where you kill God with the power of friendship. Fight me.
Anyway, I know this is the last true hurrah outside of mods for Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful that Larian is doing this and keeping it going. It feels really nice. It's really nice to have a game set in this world, have characters and moments that have sort of resonated long and far beyond the, like, I feel like if you showed a picture of Astarion or Karlach to even people that don't really get into this genre or play these games, they're like, oh yeah, I know them. Or Shadowheart, like, or Lizelle. Like, it feels like they just have sort of transcended the medium, and it's really nice to see.
Yep. Okay. Speaking of games giving you free stuff, the Epic Game Store has a mobile store now, and they are currently following the path of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They have done user acquisition on desktop by giving away free games every week for a gajillion years. They're doing the same thing on mobile, essentially. This is another opportunity for you to take money from Epic. If you are at all interested in the idea of Epic's mobile store, I encourage you to check it out and then take their money, because they're giving you, it's free money. They just, like, if you're really worried about privacy concerns, put it on an Android emulator on your computer and then just take their money. It's free stuff. Just take their money. Like, it's not, this is like Bezos bucks, okay? Where are my primers at? If you're on Twitch and you have Twitch Prime, you should be using Prime every month to give creators money that you don't have to spend from big companies.
So
Epic,
your principle is sound. I do want to make one very, very, very minor tweak.
Sure.
The keynote there that you said was if you're a Prime member, because if you're a member of Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch sub, everything, and you get to just do it. You get to give it to whoever you want, and that is Bezos bucks. Take literally money that didn't exist before or being pulled out of one place and giving it to the content creators that you like. The only difference that I just want to make very clear with the Epic Store, and there's the reason why Epic does this is user acquisition, right? It's funny because Prime, I don't think they're doing Twitch Prime subs for user acquisitions. It just kind of falls into that ubiquitous, like, oh, we own this thing too, and like, oh, here's another little thing you get.
Yep.
No one's signing up for Prime because you get a free membership to a Twitch channel of your choice, right? Whereas Epic is really trying to get you into their ecosystem with all these free games. So, you still sign up, you still use your email. It's still a new thing with someone who will have your data. It's just something to think about. I personally believe the value proposition of getting all the free games and if you can have the wherewithal of like not buying things you don't want over there. I do think I agree with Will completely, but it is a sign up and that is their end goal. If something is free, you are the product, yada, 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 yada. But it's just something to say whenever we're like, yeah, this is cool. I just always want to be like, reminder as to why this cool thing exists.
yeah.
We are all the product now. And listen, if we're the product and I get a bunch of free games, for me personally, I'm okay with that. But mileage may vary.
Yeah. Okay, cool, great, awesome, excellent.
Grass said they got Prime for that many years ago. Also included the ad-free mode back then. Interesting. Yeah. I stand corrected.
It's not much more expensive than a sub every month, as long as you use it every month.
Yeah.
Or at least wasn't way back when. I don't know how much it is now. I haven't paid attention in a long time. Okay, cool, great, Matt. You may now celebrate. As Astrobot cleaned up at the BAFTAs.
BAFTRobot!
BAFTRobot! The BAFTAs, I'm not going to try and unpack that acronym because my brain is cooked.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Cleaned up with 5 wins for animation, audio achievement, which I completely agree with. Best game, family game, and game design.
Yeah.
I love that this happened. Again, we've talked about this before. I won't go over this in great detail. Astrobot is not only a great game, in and of its own rights, it also had to transcend corporate shillery.
That's right.
And I think it really does. Like, it is a giant PlayStation commercial, and you don't care because it's so good.
Yeah.
And I do really, really, really like that it is being seen for the quality that is going behind what is essentially IP play. It's so good.
Other notable winners at the BAFTAs, by the way, were debut game Balatro, artistic achievement Neva, and there was
evolving game Vampire Survivors, which I really appreciate.
Yep. Game Beyond Entertainment, Tales of Kenzaro Zao, and multiplayer and music to Helldivers 2. Those are sort of the really big ones. I like the BAFTAs for this. I think
I do too.
I feel like this is much more honest. I don't know about honest.
Yeah, it's just not an award show is still it's still marketing.
Right. It's less sold for advertising, I guess would be the way that I put it, right? Like, it feels like this is less trailer happy and more like, hey, we're here to tell you about some games that we think are neat and please support our industry. Then, hey, here's a bunch of trailers and we're going to slam all of the technical awards into, like, super fast, rapid fire things between trailers with no time for acceptance speeches for some of the most influential, like, choices that were made this year in gaming.
Yeah. There is one last dark thing that I did want to bring up, and actually Thega brings it up. As Jacob Geller pointed out, most of the studios that featured in Astrobot are closed, so it is not a commercial, it is a memorial. Like many of the things that are now these characters, IPs, etc., that we know and love that are featured here, they don't exist anymore. So it's also... That's a lovely thing and a terrible thing. It's not lovely that they don't exist anymore. It's lovely that we get to still see them in the memorial sense, and it is terrible because the industry rolls on as it does.
Right. Also, my lighter note from the BAFTAs was, as always, Local Thunk doesn't go places to accept awards because he values his anonymity, and good for him. So Jimbo the Clown showed up to accept the Balatra Award, and God, the actor they've got playing the actor they've got playing Jimbo the Clown is like committed, like full committed.
Wasn't he also the voice of the Marathon trailer?
I think he might have been. Ben Starr. Yeah, Ben Starr. It just phenomenal. Just that is now the bit, right? Is great. Also. At the same time, this week I did see just a minor aside from Local Thunk that he's planning on making a new game, and it's going to be like in his own description, unplayable trash. And I can't wait. One of the best indie devs currently working is intentionally making a game that he says is going to be unplayable trash. He's accidentally going to hit gold again, or I'm going to play it and label it unplayable trash and be happy about it.
What a testament to how good your game is, where your follow-up game, you're like, don't play, it's gonna be awful, and it will still sell probably 1 million copies, and
That's
you're
correct.
being very honest about
it.
it.
You're like 100% honest that it's unplayable trash. Amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I like the BAFTAs. I'm glad Astrobot won a bunch.
Yeah. Speaking of indie games and indie darlings, Blueprints.
Talk to me, Will, about Blueprints.
Okay, there will be no Blueprint spoilers because I haven't played Blueprints.
Yeah, so that goes for you, Brad and Janet.
No.
And Rocky, if you blue sky us, no.
Okay. Blueprints is a new indie game. It's actually made by the same people who make the Magic Site Mythic spoilers. Really weird. It is a old school style puzzle game. You need a notepad to solve some of these puzzles. Some of these puzzles are beyond jank. Some of these puzzles don't work if your computer isn't set to a time in the US in a language that is in like the the Roman alphabet. If you're not in that, like, some puzzles don't work. It's janky, but the puzzles are apparently lovely, and the experience is apparently very unique. And my advice, and this is the advice I will be following when I play it, hopefully in the near-ish future, is don't look up anything about this game. And I don't do that.
This is the only thing you should know.
Yeah, that's correct. The game is blueprints, and it's intended to sound like blueprints. That's correct. That's it, right? Don't spend time looking up reviews. Don't fall into the stuff. It is 78% positive after almost 1,400 reviews on Steam, and is currently 10% off. It's $27 US until April 20th.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places you can play it for air quotes free. Yeah. And then it will be fairly Game Pass and PS Plus.
Yeah. But it is one I appreciate, and I wanted to bring this up because I appreciate the indie space for this phenomena, right? Because in the AAA space, right, you'd get marathon style advertisements and there's a secret twist. You need a notepad this Sunday, right? Like, it's not that, right? So yeah.
I had brought it.
I know. Oh. All right, Matt. We're going to do some ads.
Oh, man. Okay. You go first.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
By the way, if this is your first time here, because Twitch, we can't control the ads come on or off. So when you're subbed over there, you get us selling you fake things that you can't buy instead of real things that you can buy. It's better, trust me. Okay, here we go. Will, what can you sell our audience today?
Hi there, everyone. Will from Extra Credits here to sell you a world where you ignore advertising. Just like it's very difficult. It's almost impossible to be like deprogrammed from advertising because it's like ubiquitous, right? It's all around you. It's on the bus, it's on the train, it's on every billboard, it's in your home, it's in your eyeballs. They beam it directly into your brain while you sleep. Imagine a world without that. Imagine a world where you simply hear about a cool game, know nothing about it, and then, get this, play the game. Enjoy the media without being saturated or exposed to it constantly ahead of time. Just do the thing, not the advertising for the thing.
Wow. I really appreciate what you just said. And now it's time for me to sell you something that you can't buy.
Correct.
Hey, Matt from Extra Credits here. Listen, you just heard Will give you an incredible pitch about not buying things, advertising to you to not be advertised to. But what if instead you just changed the way that you were advertised to via a thing that Will previously was very excited about based on his monster truck voice? Of course, I am talking about notebooks. What if I could sell you a notebook with all of the spoilers to all of the games that you want, and then you just flip to that page? Ready? I'm gonna ruin Blueprints' ending to you here. We're seeing gone there and see. Oh, but you're gonna have to pay for it to actually get that. Just get a notebook.
Seems good to me.
3 out of 10, not my best. Hi, Matt from Extra Credits here. Selling you ranking your own fake ads. Did you just do a fake ad that was kind of butt? Well, you can always give yourself a rank to try again. Listen, it's hard out here trying to sell you things that don't exist. We have to make them up constantly. Will just took an amorphous concept and actually did what I would consider a 7 out of 10 ad, where I had to think on my feet quickly and grab whatever prop was in front of me. Next time, I'll probably just end up trying to sell you this second handsomest Matt trophy with the pigeon on it, because that's all I can do when I'm trying to think of these things that quick. This is even a 5 out of 10 because it's self-referential. It's pretty baseline. Blueprints!
Yeah. And we're back from ads. All right, cool, great, awesome. So this is sort of the next in a series of indie games that I think are much like Outer Wilds, much like trying to think of the last one, Undertale, Cave Story, Deltarune, a lot of these other games where just engage with the core media, right? Neva, Journey, Flower, right? Some of the gallery games. Don't we are privileged, I would say, to have a part of gaming that is just itself, right? We don't, it's not overproduced, it's not overmarketed, it is just itself, and Blueprints is the latest in that line, and I would suggest that it's worth your time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tunic.
Torn. Boom.
Yeah, we got Tunic, we got Oberdin, all also good. Yeah, I played Tunic. My favorite part about Tunic was that their entire system for handing out codes ahead of time was a Google Sheet. Like, literally, you put your name in a Google form, and they were like, are you going to make content about it? Like, do you promise not to break embargo? Great, here's a copy of Tunic, go play it.
Yeah.
Majestic.
Also, I have seen this phrase, Cyrix, be kicking around for Blueprints. I love it. I don't normally just like new things like that, but that's so fun.
Yep. Okay. Now on to our main story, which is a story that. Okay, so we've mentioned this before, and I know we've mentioned it before, but we didn't give it a lot of time, and I think personally, it's the biggest story that's happening this week in gaming, and it's getting super overshadowed because of tariffs and the Switch 2 and everything else. And I did want to take just a brief moment before we begin to talk about this problem. One of the big problems in gaming specifically is because it's a niche market, and that niche market is a luxury good, right? Gaming is a luxury good. No one needs gaming to survive in the strictly physical sense. It is sometimes very easy to have all the air sucked out of the room by a couple of really big stories if they seem like existential threats to gaming. And I would agree that the tariffs could be, right? For all of the reasons we talked about last week and the reasons we talked about at the beginning of the show, we don't need to go further into that. But
also, just so we're clear, it's interesting we're seeing this in the gaming space. Obviously, one story sucking the air out, so a more important, in our opinion, story is not being here, because that's literally what's happening with every other piece of news outside of gaming. Also kind of due to tariffs. It's very, very strange. Regardless,
it's kind of like they're doing that on purpose, but we won't get too deep into that.
No.
We'll get too deep into that. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about the Crew lawsuit. So
before we start, who here in Rocky, you can message us on Blue Sky, on Janet, on YouTube, and on Brad on Twitch. Who knows what we're talking about when we talk about the Crew lawsuit? I don't want to say anything yet. I want to see some comments trickle in real quick, because I want to know in general if people understand what this is.
Okay, I'm seeing about half. I know nothing.
Me, I think nothing. Months ago, nope, no clue. Yes, no idea. So I'd say 70% of this thing, I just did the bad math in my brain. 70% of the live people watching right now don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Will, would you like to give a recap breakdown of this before we go into the new stuff?
Indeed, I shall. So The Crew is a racing video game, or was a racing video game published by Ubisoft. It started in 2014-ish, and the servers shut down in early 2024. Following the shutdown, 2 players of The Crew sued Ubisoft as they had physical copies of the game The Crew, and we're now unable to play in any way because it was an always online game after the servers were shut down.
Right.
This lawsuit got batted back and forth, kind of like Zoe with a ball of yarn. And the main complaint is that Ubisoft violated a California law regarding honesty in advertising. That was the original... The OG
filing.
The OG filing. The reason we're bringing it up this week is it's been refiled with some new complaints and some new developments. Let's real brief talk about this real quick. Ubisoft's counter argument to the complaints, essentially, and I'm being a little simplistic here, but not overly so, boils down to: you don't own any of your video games, any of them. if there's language on the box that says that you that it might shut down, you don't own any of your games. You are just purchasing a temporary license to them, and that you don't own them at all. And that they are allowed to shut them down whenever they want with like 90 days notice if they want to, and that's for the consumer just kind of a tough break. The refiling is kind of a huge deal in my opinion. It's really what takes this from being like a what is more or less already a settled question, right? When this California law went into effect about truth in advertising, Steam updated reminding you that you're not actually purchasing any of the games you own on Steam. You're purchasing temporary licenses, which are revocable and non-transferable and all of the other stuff. But the way that this is going to get argued, yeah, it might be 30 days. The way that this is going to get argued is going to matter a lot. How's that for a summary? My brain is a little...
No, that's great. You did a great job.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just interesting that that was sort of Ubisoft's basically argument to it. They said that it says clearly on the package that this is a thing, and that you truly don't own your stuff. Now, there is... Let's back up for a bit before we get to the new section of what's going on with the story for a little bit of context. We do live in a world where software licensing is a thing. In fact, a clearer place, at least in my world of this, is either a streaming service where you have access to all of the content, but you don't own the content. You can move that into even Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, etc., that kind of thing as well. Or if you are in digital creative fields, the Adobe suite. You used to buy the new versions of Adobe and you owned those versions. Now, whether or not you like it or not, or think it's better or worse, and I think there's pros and cons, you do not own Adobe and you have license to use that software.
Right.
And now that games have gone truly, the digital space has basically blown up and brick and mortar is slowly dying, yada, yada, yada. Physical media, we've talked about it to death here. It feels like in the game space, companies wanted to jump to the natural place of either understanding or they don't care about understanding faster than the actual community who engages with their product is willing to go. That might be an oversimplification. I, like many of you, I think, want to own the thing. We talked about this last week with the Switch cartridges, right? Like the Switch 2. I'm not terribly interested in the licensing key for a game, because that still requires the server to be up to run, and that's a point of reliance outside of me buying the game and me preserving my Switch 2 and the cartridge and it working. That's a third party that also has to be functioning for the value proposition to go through. Again, that's my specific value prop. There's tons of media, games, movies, books, music that I also do get through licensing.
Yep.
But I think that as consumers of video games, we have, much like the way we think about pricing, much like in the way we think about a lot of these things, it always feels like I own this game. This is a game I bought. It is mine. And the EULAs and the way that companies have been treating these things, even the best of companies like Steam and other digital storefronts, deep in the guts of those user agreements, no one's really owning anything.
Right.
But when you're still going to a store and buying a thing, especially in states or countries or regions that have laws to protect against this sort of thing, if things are not stated clearly throughout of what you are doing, that becomes a problem. Ubisoft has said in this particular case that the crew did say the 30-day thing. Basically, the online components would only run for up to 30 days notice, blah, 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 blah. And that's why they came back and wanted to basically throw this suit or this lawsuit out. Now I will tag Will in for the update on the goings on currently.
Okay, so the refile on March 18th, and this is from the Polygon article, which is linked down in the comments for if you're not live, includes two major changes, and I think they're both very relevant. And I think Ubisoft is very likely to settle out of court because they don't want either of these to get an actual judgment in a court. By the way, that's what's likely going to happen.
And now with the Tencent acquisition, they do have money to burn. So
correct. So okay, thing one. In California, it is illegal for a gift card to expire. Okay, that is the law in California where this lawsuit is taking place. And a reminder that while it seems weird that California law is dictating a bunch of this, it's important to remember the size of California's economy and the number
fifth largest economy, isn't it? Something like that.
It's a unbelievably massive economy, and that California law, because of the size of its economy, often drives lots of functional nationwide U.S. law because we're sort of a hodgepodge of mini countries in a we don't get along shirt. Great, awesome. So the plaintiffs are arguing that because the crew had in-game credits that were sold separately, that those are the same as a gift card. And that because those credits were a value that was sold as a gift card, legally in California, they can't expire. So that's a very interesting legal argument, and I don't think Ubisoft wants that proved in a court of law at all, ever, under any circumstances, because, dear God, that would be horrendous for the gaming industry, for all of the places that are like, oh, yeah, you bought stuff for this premium game, and we're taking the servers down, goodbye forever, right? Imagine how much Epic would have to cough up to refund everyone who still had remaining Fortnite V-Bucks, right? Or Fortnite credits, if Fortnite ever went down, right? They would have to keep money in escrow in case they needed to shut it down. Wild, right? Beyond wild. So that's what...
Yeah, and the secondary thing here is there was a thing for the activation code of the game if you bought the thing that lets you activate it, right? That does not expire until 2099, which would imply they're arguing that it would remain playable during this time and long thereafter per the amended complaint.
Correct.
This comes to us from a couple different places, IGN, I believe, and Polygon. We'll link in the show notes.
Correct. So both of these are kind of are very interesting legal arguments. I am, of course, not a lawyer, though sometimes I play one on the internet. And none of this is deeply steeped in legal advice. But my intuition is that a defeat of Ubisoft in this place would be pretty catastrophic for Ubisoft specifically, and potentially pretty changing for the industry as a whole, especially because the lawyers here are very happy to take time and do this, right? They are trying to open this up as a class action lawsuit, which would mean that the lawyers are very down to take a chunk of whatever the class action victory is, rather than take it specifically from the clients that started the lawsuit, which means that the lawyers are willing to work much longer. One of the ways that Ubisoft could theoretically defeat this from a legal strategy perspective is they have enough money to have their lawyers work forever.
Yeah.
And just not care, right? And the lawyers for individuals or for small groups of people generally run out of funding. And so it's sort of like a siege, if you will, right? Where the smaller party just gets starved of resources, and that's how that ends, because something American legal system, something money, insert screaming here. Great, awesome, excellent. That might not be the case here. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree that I do not believe that this will actually go to any sort of trial. I think it will either be dragged forever and hoping that whoever is running the class action sort of runs out of funds, or that they just settle it sort of out of court, because you don't want this. Corporations who rent you software don't want this precedent, especially in venues that have more restrictive and better protection laws for consumers.
Right.
So yeah, I do think that it's interesting, because this is the kind of, and again, it's small now, but these are the kind of things that can set precedent, right? So when we're like, oh, the thing that is not being talked about, I don't think it's not being talked about because like there's a plot to not talk about it.
No.
I think it's just us. It's a small feeling story that both Will and I believe will have larger ramifications in this space that is being sort of cast aside due to all of the other hype that's going on for other things.
I mean, I feel like every time we get a tariff story, right, the entire news cycle gets flashbanged, right?
Sure.
Because which is, I think, part of the purpose, right? But there's constantly a rush and a scramble to figure out which countries are being affected to what degree, and where the Switch is being manufactured, and what Nintendo is likely to do, and all of that, right? So I kind of want to undo that and say, this is a thing that matters, and I think that I want to redraw attention to this, because I do think that this court case and the idea that you don't own your video games, or maybe you do, or maybe you don't own the game, but you do have some legal standing for credit, right? And that game companies need to be more transparent about shutdown dates or expiration dates, right? That they, need to have some amount of money to pay back credit that is on your account when the game shuts down. Like, that is all a really interesting court case, which could have broad-reaching implications if it goes to trial. But I agree that it's probably not going to go to trial.
Yeah, and it's funny. I do agree with this. I believe companies start putting guarantees of a certain amount of time or access things, or buy their own stories or servers being up for each game. It's funny. Either that, or just be brutally honest about it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. Like, okay, this is where I kind of go. I get the weird sort of brain feedback loop. Well, Flixel Sticks is going to release Flixel Sticks with friends. And it's going to be an always online game where you and your friends can play Flixel Sticks until the sun burns out or the servers go down.
Okay.
So when I'm selling this as a $90 Switch 2 exclusive,
sure,
it would not behoove the narrative of me selling it for $90 to include information that is that would basically say, oh, by the way, this could go away at any moment. But what if they just sort of did? Like, I get that it would cause sales to plummet, but you're like, well, okay, well, if you're worried about sales plummeting because you're being honest about your product,
designed a better
it's either a poorly designed product or a grift. Like, the goal of call me old-fashioned, but the idea of trading goods and services for legal tender should be somewhat equitable. And I know many tenets of capitalism would argue with that, but that's kind of why we want to engage in any sort of system of currency. So I know I'm speaking crazy here, but what if you just were more honest about it and didn't try to price gouge? I know that's wacky, but like, and look, to be clear, I'm being very facetious and doing a lot of globalizing here in this description that I just talked about. In the very real Flixel Sticks with Friends game that will be dropping on the Switch for $90. Please buy it. Flixel Sticks. What a weird meme from forever ago. There are games that do this.
Yes.
There are games that are honest and with their value proposition and their pricing. We've talked about a few of them on the show already today.
And there are, and even in terms of online games, right? There are many, right, that are in it for the long haul, but have been honest that someday they will stop working. I'm reasonably confident at this point. Blizzard has said at some point, WoW will stop existing. Probably when Blizzard stops existing, but...
Yeah. Also, Jacob brings this up too. This is another way around it.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So for instance, this would be sorry, Will, go. I'm sorry.
This was one of the goals, I think, originally of the original suit, was to get companies to need to cave on the idea that they release some kind of server package when the game goes down, so that the community can take it up. There's been one very successful example of this. It's with City of Heroes. If you want to play City of Heroes and like it doesn't hold up that great, but like if you have nostalgia for City of Heroes, you can go download the game for free and play on a fan server that's officially recognized as an authoritative place to play City of Heroes. That's a thing that exists that you can do, right? And other groups of gamers who are very passionate about specific games want that to happen. Right? They either want some kind of peer-to-peer, they want what Islands of Insight did, which was to change the game fundamentally so that it no longer required server access and was purely single-player. That was a whole thing that Islands of Insight did when it stopped being a puzzle MMO and just released as like a puzzle game.
Right.
And so, yes, that is a thing that many people want. Here's the problem. That is more difficult and more complicated, both technically and legally, than I think a lot of the arguments that are calling for it give credence to. And I'm not saying that it's like super complicated, difficult. I am saying it is a more complicated, untested piece of law and tech than I think a lot of people want to give credit to. Right? I'm not saying like it's impossible. I am saying that it does require some amount of setup work, both in the game when you start it, like in the game when you start building it, and in the legal way that you build your server architecture.
Yeah, and to be both fair and balanced, I believe Ubisoft for the Crew 2 and the Crew Motorfest has announced that there will be single player modes for those games as they are offline, when they go offline, or if they already have. But not for the original Crew. And again, there's a lot of different reasons that could be happening. Could be from a legal perspective, could be just from a keeping it alive perspective. We don't know. I just think I don't know. I will be curious how long this suit continues on before it is basically settled out of court. Because the longer it goes on, the more even a chance that something like it comes up. But again, I don't know. This is the flip side of it. I don't know if, like, has the ship already sailed of public opinion about this? Because I think if you asked, I mean, this is not a type of game that I engage with, but let's look at Madden, right? Essentially, for the last 20 years, you just bought if you're a Madden player, you just buy the new Madden.
Right.
Back before the online stuff, I believe it was probably more likely considered that you own Madden, right? Like you own the game. And you get the new roster and you get the whatever. And now with technology moving along the lines where you could, like, it's basically outside of some changes and some things that, again, sorry if I'm oversimplifying, but like you're paying for the new roster. It is essentially, if you're like a subscription service, you pay annually.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It gets more complicated even with DLC for games, for physical games like Madden. That's sort of the other in between, right? So you have a physical game, Madden, which you have some intuition that you own. You have a disc, the disc plays the game. Let's even say that there aren't any updates, right? The disc play, and we talked about this a bit last week, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in the comments, because this comes up with Game Key, right? You have the disc plays the game. You also have DLC. It's entirely possible that you own the game but have a license for the DLC, which is also weird, right? There is a middle ground here between the extreme where like you own the whole thing outright and have right of first sale and all of the resale stuff and all of that, and you don't actually own anything. It's all just right. And then it gets even weirder for versions of the game where the DLC's on the disc. That gets right. You could see how this gets really weird really fast with all of the gradation in between those two extremes.
Yeah. And I guess it all comes down to what the majority of consumers consider is the value proposition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think most people that engage with most digital media at this point, outside of maybe being disappointed when a movie they're looking for isn't on a streaming service, like I would argue, and I think companies are making this decision based on statistics that they have, most people probably don't care that it is more of a subscription thing, because access is a greater draw than permanence.
Right. And I think that we are likely we're very vulnerable, both us personally and us as a community, to the idea that we must be part of a larger movement, because we like the gaming community, like the very analytical community that we have that cares a lot about game design and game preservation and the history of games and playing games into the future, cares a lot about this and cares about it loudly, that other people must do the same. And I think that Matt's very right that I think the majority of people don't care, right? That we are in the small, very loud minority.
If the majority of people cared, companies wouldn't be doing this, because companies in our current system exist to make money, and they think they're going to make more money by doing this. If they thought they'd make less money by doing this, they wouldn't do it. Now, that's not to say like they're all correct. That's just what they're betting on. So going back to this, and again, like I want to make it very clear, I don't think that every game you pay for should be playable in perpetuity forever. That doesn't make sense based on a lot of different things. I just really want honesty about what we are buying and or renting when we are buying and or renting it.
Which I think is one of the benefits of the game key, right? If it says game key, if this is a game key cartridge, right? It has all of the problems of digital download, buying ownership to a licensed thing, but it's transparent about it. It says, this is a game key. You're going to need to download the game and have this game key inserted when you play the game, but the game isn't on this disc. That's transparent.
They are
That's
being honest about it.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So, like, whatever the other problems are, the honesty is an asset there.
Has anyone actually seen, because I think what would assuage me from a lot of the problem with the game key idea is like, is Nintendo, and I guarantee you they're not doing this guarantee, but I would love like a fully accessible from our servers for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do it because anything could happen and then they're screwed.
I think they're also selling the myth that it might live forever. Right.
And it in human-esque theory, it could live forever. Please, there's a lot of asterisks floating around. The context fairy is dripping them all over the place. But knowing Nintendo, heck, knowing companies that supply digital goods, servers do just stop. Nintendo just takes down the stores when no one's using the store. Like, okay, this might be a little too... I have a half-baked idea that's probably bad. What if instead of saying this is going to be available until the year 2037, or this is going to be available until forever, right? What if it says, like, this is guaranteed to be on our servers active until a set number of people, like, haven't accessed the servers in a period of whatever days? Do you know what I mean? Like, giving them an off-ramp. And again, I think there's lots of bad with that idea. It was just something that came to me. And no one would, like, if that was in the fine print, because that would give a company an off-ramp to be safe.
Yeah. I agree very much with Sympathy. That's the Final Fantasy 14 house. Ooh, not that one. This one. That's the Final Fantasy 14 housing model. That's okay. You can have it as long as you're using it, and if you stop using it, it goes away. Right?
Again, not perfect either. And I want to go back. I know we said we wouldn't talk about Switch Shoot, but the key card things, there's a lot of good in that, even though I have problems with element. It doesn't have to be all good or all bad.
Right. And I think that is drifting a little bit, right? Because one of the problems here is that The Crew was an online only game from the beginning, right? The Crew was a multiplayer. Ooh, I should not open my eyes.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Online. It was a multiplayer online game from the beginning, and that was a big part of its draw and its appeal. I think the other part that's worth mentioning in the lawsuit is that the problem that the original plaintiffs are mentioning is that the single player portion went away as well. Right, there was a single player portion, but that also demanded online stuff, so you couldn't play the single player portion, right? So like this is a split issue, but The Crew was different than a game, well, kind of like a game key, an always online game, right? That necessitated being online by its design.
Anyway, it will be interesting to see where this goes. Thank you all for engaging with a story with us that is not on the top of the pile, I feel like, this week. And that's something that, it's funny, the thumbnail for this will probably be some element of this thing. And Will and I were even talking about this. That also does kind of mean that it might not be the most popular thing because it's not doing whatever the algorithm is looking for. But like, I don't know, this is the kind of stuff that like, I truly believe, and I think Will does as well, will be important in the next 10, 15 years of this medium that we engage with. And I don't know. I just think little things like this deserve to be paid attention to as well. And so thank you for engaging with us on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will, can you take us home to our nice dessert story?
I can. Matt, you've heard of the test for any kind of device, which is, can it run Doom?
Of course.
Doom runs on everything. I've seen Doom on a smart fridge. I've seen Doom on a pregnancy test. I've seen Doom on everything. Doom runs on crabs. They figured out how many crabs it would take to form logic gates to run Doom. But Matt, ask yourself this. What if you had Doom that ran Doom?
I am dangerously close to trying to save up some money to get this stupid thing. This is a new edition that limited run is dooming. Called the Doom and Doom 2 Will It Run Edition. We'll have links in the show notes. It's so meta, it's perfect. For the mere cost of, I believe, $666.66.
That's correct.
You get all of these things that are sort of small and pixelated right here, but not one element of this package plays Doom, but two elements of the package play Doom. First of all, the box the game comes in plays Doom. Cool, great. Then there's a handheld version that is one of the demons on the left there that is also a thing that plays Doom.
That's correct.
You also get it for whatever system you might actually play Doom on.
Oh, by the way, excuse me. That's both original Doom and the rebooted Doom. This is like one of the...
Wait, rebooted Doom?
I thought this...
No.
This is just OG?
This is Doom and Doom 2, but it also has, what's it called? It has the Sigil, or and Sigil 2.
Okay. I thought this also had... I thought I saw in the marketing that this also had a copy of the 2006 Doom, but I could be wrong.
I don't see that anywhere.
Okay, I hallucinated it. It's okay. But either way, this is dope.
It also has the Legacy of Rust, which is a new episode collaborated on by ID Software and Night Drive Studios with Machine Games, and a bunch of new deathmatch maps featuring 25 packs. I think altogether on the page it says there's 187 mission maps and 43 deathmatch maps in Doom and Doom 2. If you are of a boomer shooter generation, which really is honestly millennials, this is pretty neat. It's too expensive. It's the definition of a luxury item. But in a day of, hey, are you worried if you own your game? Well, you definitely know you own it if the box you're playing it on plays the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I love. I think this is great.
I love Doom and Doom 2 are games that I just go back and visit constantly. And there's a mod I keep meaning to try out on stream that turns it into a roguelite, turns Doom into a roguelite, which I think would be very, very fun. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyway, this was just a fun little thing that Will found and I kind of fell in love with. Doom is a part of my gaming childhood, and I'm glad to see it is still doing weird, wacky stuff. There's also, in this package, I just want to point out, there's a couple things I don't care about, like trading cards, and actually the cassette tapes of the soundtrack are pretty neat. But there's a Kodka Demon basically floater, like magnetic floater. It's the thing on the right of the image that like just would float and hover. I don't know. I thought that was pretty neat.
All right. Which brings us now to the end of the show where we do some questions, some comments, some questions that you all had on last week's episode. Thank you so much for leading those. First up, Simeon Snow says, would love to hear more of your TTRPG tastes. I'm more in that space than video game one these days. Matt, you're up first.
Okay, so let's see. Outside of D&D, I used to play Pathfinder a lot. I used to play Vampire a lot. Vampire, my crew was thinking about getting back into just as a sort of change, even though we just got out of Ravenloft, which is strange, just for a different mechanic. Also, Lancer, I've been playing over with the Dwarven Forge folks over there. That game is phenomenal. It is also a bit complex. I was debating trying to introduce my home crew to Lancer, but like they need to do a decent amount of homework, which is fine if you want to do it. It's just not something that's like easy pick up and play. For an RPG fest, I just played, there's a game that was kickstarted called Die, that I'm not sure how ubiquitous it is, but basically it had a couple comics and a couple other things, but you role play players that are role playing a tabletop RPG that get sucked into the RPG. And I played a modified version with my buddy Nate. It was very, very fun. And actually, something that I got a Kickstarter. I just got the Kickstarter for a couple months ago. This might key out. I apologize. Oh yeah, it does. Let's see if I can rotate it. No, well, it's called Jukebox, and it is a karaoke musical tabletop role-playing game. And I've been reading up on it. I have not played it yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it. And I'm starting to like more and more these like high quality zine-esque kind of things. There's another one that I really enjoyed called Save the Music, Damn the Man, where you play basically like an Empire Records. You would play the day in the life of a dying record store and you have to try to save it. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know. Will, what about you?
I have the Final Fantasy XIV RPG sitting on my bed. That's been sort of my pick apart reading. It's a very interesting take on how to do, both how to do combat and the action system, and how to mirror the feeling of an MMO in a tabletop space, both of which I think are really interesting. I don't know that I recommend playing it, but if you're into RPG design, it's probably worth picking apart. I am likewise, and for the same reason, a big fan of Blades in the Dark and Burning Wheel, both of which are very interesting takes on dice pool systems and non-combat ways to resolve conflict in different fashions. That is like a whole arc of RPGs that I really like is you could fight these people and choose not to. My number one recommendation for weird games that you should know about and probably never play is Dogs in the Vineyard. Dogs in the Vineyard is you are religious cops in a place that's legally not Utah. And it is a game about conflict escalation, which I think remains just really great. And so those are probably my top pitches.
And also, if you're in the D&D space, but you want something a little bit different than D&D, you've probably seen kicking around. The reason I bring this up is because their Kickstarter for their second one is live right now. Humblewood, which I've actually been really enjoying very much so. Been doing some one-offs, one-shots in their world, which is sort of the anthropomorphic animals there. Humblewood Beyond the Canopy Kickstarter is going on right now. So if that sort of feels like up your alley, please go check that out because they are doing some good work over there. Yeah. All
right. Next up, we have a couple of comments on the Switch 2 and tariffs and all that.
We're switching back.
Mitch McNair says, I'm personally a huge gamer. I have multiple systems and try to buy a game a month, even if it's a smaller one. I never get consoles when they come out, though. It's just too expensive for jumping on early. I've never happened to have enough money laying around to buy the shiny new thing, so instead I save up for it over a few years and get it later. It's still new and fun for me, even if it's late, and there are a lot more game options available. So the Switch 2 is exciting, and I'm looking forward to it, but the pricing controversy and other issues won't affect me for years to come, and who knows what'll happen by then. I think this is a really reasonable,
thank you, Mitch.
Like straightforward take from Mitch that, like, Yes, it is really cool to jump on the new shiny thing. Hey, chat. How big's your backlog?
That's the thing, man. Like,
yeah, it's really cool to get the new shiny thing, and that's great.
Here's the only reason, like, it's being part of the whatever the current discourse is. Like case in point, this is not the same thing, but I like jumped onto Enter the Gungeon way later than when it was like truly popular, right? Everyone had already done it. And by the time I jumped into it, I wanted like a community, but it was kind of small by that point. So like if you're looking for like the shiniest new thing has value in that like community thing, but other than that, truly, or if you have just a group that you talk about or engage with games with for yourself, there is no reason that you need to jump on the new shiny thing. There is so much old shiny thing at this point to engage in that is far cheaper. We do. I think that does get lost a lot, and I'm glad Mitch brought this up because I think now is a time where and rightfully so, the price of games and a bunch of things are being brought into question, and what is the value prop and what is too expensive, etc. It has never been cheaper or easier to play video games than it is right now, and that's not saying the newest, shiniest, whatever, Switch portable, whatever. It's you can get access to a thing that will play Balatro and at a cheaper cost than I think ever before, or something along those lines, right? Yeah. Like there's so much out there by sheer volume that if you do limit your stuff to stuff that's like 3 or 4 years old, you can find some exquisite deals on Steam or elsewhere.
And a reminder, right? I'm gonna plug our own channel. If you see a game and you think it's a game I might play, let me take the risk for you.
Oh yeah,
right. There are
tax write-off, baby.
Right. I'm gonna play it because it's content and tax write-off. Right. Like for instance, if you're not convinced that South of Midnight is an amazing game, come to the stream after this and allow me to persuade you, right? If you're not convinced that you're totally in to buy and play Clear Obscure Expedition 33, come to those streams when that gets released next Thursday, something else. Next Thursday, and let me convince you of that, right? There are ways to experience games without paying for games directly, right? And then if you like the game, go buy it, right? And that is another option.
As we jump to the next topic, one quick thing back about tabletop RPG stuff. I did see a comment somewhere that is a story that I wish we did talk about. About Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins leaving Dungeons & Dragons. Maybe we talk about that next week.
Most of what I saw was knee-jerk reaction stories to it. I didn't hear a lot of like deeper analysis, and I didn't have time to do it.
I think it'd be worthwhile diving into that a little bit with more time.
Okay, cool. Next up from Tack Blueberry. Imagine a cartoony kitchen being more reasonable with the discussion of tariffs than political podcasts or AAA news industries. Thanks, Tack.
You don't have to imagine it.
Right. And I think that is one of the things that we are constantly striving for, is particularly right now, and particularly my request to say more, which we'll get to in a second. That's our goal, right? Is to have this sort of more informal, more like take the time to talk about it discussion, right? Because I think a lot of people...
anti-headline, if you will.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I like being anti-headline.
Anti-headline often doesn't get you more views or anything, but it is an important part of an ecosystem about talking about literally anything.
Right. We're SEO minning instead of SEO maxing. We're like are we
smurfing? We're
SEO smurfing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Our numbers aren't low. We're SEO smurfing.
That's right. Yeah.
We're getting so above our weight class.
Please share us with your friends. We need more people to watch our show.
No, but that is one of the points. And the reason why Tack Blueberry's comment, I asked Will to put it in the show notes because it was so funny and it did make me very much smile. So thank you so much. But Will has been asking folks to say more. And many of you in the comments did. And so I really appreciate this. This actually comes from a Nebula viewer, I believe, over on Rocky.
Yeah.
who messaged us on Blue Sky. Do you want me to read this, Will, or do you want to do it?
I can do it.
Okay.
So this is from Shiro Takumi. And by the way, many of you said a lot, and we read all of it. We can't read all of it here and then respond to it. But Shiro had a very well-written, thought-out response on a bunch of these topics. So we wanted to read that one, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Hello, Rocky member here. Regarding the increases in prices to games, I both understand why this is probably being done, and I understand the complaints people have to it. No one wants to spend more money on things, especially when income levels aren't rising to match the inflation. However, here in Canada, the price of AAA games have been $80 for several years now. I dare say perhaps even a decade. Dear Lord, my bones. And it's not unheard of to see AAA titles for more than that, though it is uncommon. So while I get the pain, I also think the reaction to increased prices needs to chill a little bit. If you can't afford the price increases, trust me, I get it. I encourage you to find games used or purchase any of the excellent indie titles available basically everywhere. With that said, the Canadian prices for these titles is not listed anywhere yet for some reason. We know that the Switch 2 will be $629 alone and $699 with Mario Kart, but the individual games themselves have no price. We can only speculate so far. A price increase in the US does not guarantee a price increase in other regions. However, the lack of pricing doesn't bode well for the price to stay the same. I'm not sure what my point is, I guess. Things are expensive, but more expensive outside the US. Try to keep that in mind when building your perspective of the cost of things, gamers. Thank you, Shiro. That's a very good point, right?
Yeah.
Is that things we often do this as a US-centered discussion because we're both in the States. But it is important to know
the animated United States.
Right, yeah, that's right. Brain wants to start in on 50 nifty United States, but that's not, no. Okay, backing up. I do think it's important to realize that, and the Canadian dollar is not that weird off of the American dollar. It is a bit, but it's not that far off. It is really worth noting that Americans are now experiencing some amount of the pain that Australia, Canada, dear God, Brazil, where my Brazilians at, you all are troopers. Games are hideously, unbelievably, unaffordably expensive in Brazil for a whole bunch of reasons. And that whole phenomena is a thing that we often don't take into account. But also, I think the point that we're not going to be able to change price increases except by not buying games. So cool your heels. Play an indie game. Play a game you already own. Play a used game. Whatever. Until prices like match is a reasonable one, right? Because a lot of, I think this is the thing that I'm getting is a lot of people are very upset. And that's okay. I'm not saying you can't be upset. I'm saying that the reaction to being upset, blowing up Nintendo Treehouse's YouTube comments with drop the price instead of being like, okay, I can't afford that. All right, I'm going to do something else with my time, money, energy, effort. Seems a little weird to me, right?
Look, I understand the Treehouse thing. I understand because again, I go back to companies only make decisions because they think it'll make the most money. They made this pricing, tariffs notwithstanding, they made this pricing because they believe, even though it is going to be expensive for many people, that they will still make more money doing it this way than less money. That's why they're doing it.
Yep.
And it's understandable for people that are being left out in the cold to be frustrated with that. And it's understandable to have, there's no real venue for those people to have, and I'm not saying that the Treehouse, meme or just, spamming lower the price. It's not going to do anything. There's no real recourse for those kind of people because the only recourse truly would be for the people in the demographic that don't care that the Switch 2 costs more money and its games to not buy the Switch 2. It's, I don't know. I want to lean back on the sort of back catalog stuff too. There's so many great games, and I feel like the hype cycle makes us lose sort of track of that oftentimes. I don't know. I wish there was a more effective way. I also hate, I don't know if you saw the thing, and I think the Xbox folks did this first, and then Nintendo jumped on the train. Someone at Nintendo was like, oh, well, if the Switch 2 is too expensive, there's always the Switch 1. And it's funny. That both works and absolutely does not work.
Right.
You know?
It's super tone deaf. It's true, but you shouldn't say it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the best way kind of around it. Like, I don't know. We'll be talking. This isn't the last time we're going to be talking about this stuff. It turns out it's complicated. I really appreciate the longer takes on this sort of stuff because, again,
right.
Outside of a headline of Switch 2 crazy exorbitant, like there's a lot to unpack as to where the frustration actually resides and comes from and how people are dealing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to take this opportunity to thank OWD 2960 and Shinkoryu 14 for also taking time to say more. Both had very excellent salient points in the comments from last week's show. You can go look at them, read them, respond to them there. Thank you so much. And as always, I do want to say that our comment section is a place to take time to say more, right? We do read text walls. I enjoy spending time reading more detailed takes, and people are starting to engage with each other in good faith in the comments section of a YouTube video. My hat to all of you.
SEO smurfing, baby.
Right, yeah. Like, just do that, right? Take the time, say more. And if you're a member, a patron, a subscriber, join the Discord. We do have that thread going about pricing in the game industry, and there's been some chatter. I'll probably kick that at some point this week. And it's always a good place and time to say more there.
Yeah. No, thank you. And if you have any, specifically on this video, if you've made it to this part of the end of the video, first of all, thank you so much for staying with us for almost 2 hours. Second, please write us a comment about what you think about the stories in this video. Also, if there's a new story you think we missed, let us know. You can also message us, obviously, on Blue Sky. I have one more request that I just got distracted. I had one more request before we were finishing the show for something. What was it? It'll come to me. Maybe it will. Oh, I got it. I got it back. I should have known because Jamie walked in and it was actually about guests. So we do this show, right? We do this show, just the two of us, and we can make it if we try. But sometimes I think we've gotten this co-streaming thing down enough where we're ready to start doing things we used to do on Games for Breakfast, which is bring in guests. So if there's any guests that in the gaming space or other spaces that you would be interested in us having on this show, let us know on Blue Sky or in the comments. And I think we're going to try to start doing that in the coming weeks and or months because it is always fun to get another perspective on here as well. I think we had talked to Dr. Erin McDonald a while ago about doing it, but that was forever ago. I'd love to get her on here, a couple other folks. Yeah, so if you have anyone you think would add to the conversation, it would be awesome for you to let us know that as well. Yep.
All right, I think that all that remains then is for Matt to do our traditional sign-off, the same one we do every time, and close us out together as a family of SEO Smurfs.
That's right. So the reason we do this is to build community and make sure that everyone is on the same page, knowing that not only the show is ended, but we can go forth into the week together as one wonderful family that just knows that the week is going to be good and we're going to play a bunch of games. And even though we're apart, we're all together in this weird little existence called life. Here we go. Are you ready to join me in the same ending we do every time? Jamie is staring at me through my computer monitors like I'm a psychopath. Jamie, that was the Doom sound, music.
Oh, now I see.
Now you get it. Now it all makes sense.
Silly me.
Silly, yeah. I mean, really shame on you.
I mean, it's not that far off from Master of Puppets, Amp.
Yeah, it's also true.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Yeah.
We're going to let Janet go here. Janet, friends over on YouTube, if you want to come over and hang out while I play South of Midnight, it's an excellent game. We're on Chapter 4. We'll be playing that for a couple of hours here, so please do hop on over. Otherwise, we will see all of you Thursday for Design Club. Jeff and I are doing a game ride-along. We'll be deciding what game it is tomorrow, so you can leave comments in last week's Design Club if you want to see us play a specific game. So,
nice.
Everybody say bye, Janet.